Alright, chapter 42. Before the day is over, there is first a cable from Shirley's brother, Leonard, in London. Wait, what? Hold on. Before the day is over, there is first a cable from Shirley's brother, Leonard, in London. Then, about 10 p.m., a phone call. After he talks to her mother, Leonard speaks to Rachel. Rachel, this is your Uncle Leonard. I know. Hello, Uncle Leonard. Hello, dear. How are you? He has an actor's voice, full, rich, and deep. Well, your mother sent me pictures of you. I think you're wonderful. Reincarnation of my mother. Grandma Eva? Absolutely. The eyes, the mouth, everything. I put your picture in the frame next to a picture of my mother. Everyone comments on it. The resemblance is striking. Really? No one has ever told her this. Not her mother, not her father. Izzy's never said it. And now it's wonderful to hear your voice. Are you calling from London? No, I'm at my country place. We were here when we got the news, so that's why I called. My father, well, your grandfather. A deep sigh crosses the ocean from England to the United States. I hope someday you'll come to England and meet this part of your family. Your cousins will give you a wonderful welcome. You know, a family has to stay together. I have good reason to say so. Now, I know it's too late, but just like I told your dear mother, she's a wonderful woman. I hope you know that I regret bitterly that my father and I didn't make up with our quarrel years ago. Uncle Leonard. Yes, darling? I spent a lot of time with grandfather before he died. She has some vague notion to tell him something comforting about Izzy. Ah, you did? He was a difficult man, my father. Did you find him difficult? Yes, especially at first. What if Leonard asks her what Izzy is like, or what he said about him? What will she say? The truth is, nothing. He never said anything about his son, only tightened his lips disdainfully when Leonard's name was brought up. I didn't know him very well before that, she says quickly. So I don't know too much about... She hesitates. About things, family stuff. No, you wouldn't, of course. It was years ago. Years ago, he repeats. So stupid. Then there's silence, and in a moment he coughs and says, Well, darling. His voice trails off. Yes, but, well, you know, it's the same thing. Always the same thing. You know, the time goes. I always thought there would be a time. And then he asks to speak to Phil and Jeremy. In the morning, over breakfast, Jeremy says, I almost forgot about that old quarrel Grandpa had with Uncle Leonard. It was 1,000,000 years ago, wasn't it, Ma? Well, when Leonard was a boy. I don't know why Uncle Leonard didn't want to talk to me. I don't know why Uncle Leonard didn't want to talk to me, MB says. I'm his great niece. It was an expensive phone call, darling, Manny says. He picks up the platter of pancakes and passes it across the table. I know, Grandpa, but I'm family too. I don't even know Grandpa Leonard. I don't even know Grandpa Leonard, Jeremy said. And he started talking pretty intimately to me. telling me about Grandpa being a real hard-nosed guy to deal with. He said the same thing to me, Rachel says. Did he say it that way? Hard-nosed? Jeremy asks. Jeremy shakes his head. Wait. Oh. Did he say it that way? Hard-nosed? Shirley asks. Jeremy shakes his head. No way. He's got that actor's voice. He's got that actor's way of putting things. Mellifluous, you know? He said the same thing to you? He asks Rachel. She nods. I guess it was on his mind. So, he said it. Maybe he's Grandpa's son after all. Izzy always said what was on his mind, didn't he? Except usually it was something you might not want to hear. Jeremy, don't break up the past. Shirley touches her younger son's arm. Ma, the way I feel now, I don't always like it when I'm on the receiving end of Grandpa. He twisted the knife plenty of times. What the hell? The guy was honest. He wasn't bullying me. He meant what he said, and he wasn't going to apologize for it. How many people are left in the world like that? He was one of a kind. Wait, no. He was one of a kind, Manny says. Very old-fashioned. Straight as a die. Phil starts laughing. You know, I had much trouble with Grandpa, except that one time when I was 6 years old, and I had this loose tooth. Grandpa got tired of seeing me fiddling with it. He looks at MB. Did I ever tell you this, honey? Did you ever hear this story? No, Dad. Well, you know how kids are. I'm wiggling that tooth back and forth. I want to get it out. So Grandpa Izzy says, come here. I'll get that out for you. Tied a string around the tooth. Takes the other end, knots it around the doorknob. I'm opening my mouth to say, what are you doing, Grandpa? But I never got the words out. He kicked open the door, and that tooth went flying out of my mouth. Everyone is laughing, a little horrified, too. Yeah, Phil says. I'll never forget Grandpa saying to me, now that's modern dentistry. He remembers once when he had a... Wait, hold on, let me see who's saying this. I remember once when he had 103 temperature, Manny says. And the man went to work. Turned out he had pneumonia. He was staggering, but he put in his day's work. He was strong as a horse in his prime. And then Shirley relates how when she was a little girl, Izzy took her to work with him one day. When her mother was sick, he put me in the wheelbarrow. That's what I remember, sitting in that wheelbarrow and eating my lunch. Only Rachel and MB haven't told a story about Izzy. Phil asks MB to speak. I don't know what to say, Dad. She jiggles the bracelets on her arms. Well, I guess I was lucky enough to have a great-grandfather. I can say that. Most of the kids I know only have grandparents. Even though I don't see great-grandpa very much, and even though, like I told Rachel, I hardly knew him, it was special. What about you, Rachel? Phil says. You should say something. No, that's all right. No, go ahead. A clamor of voices, everyone looking at her, waiting. Suddenly, the image of herself walking down that road in the rain comes back to Rachel in flashes up as if on a screen. She feels confused. I loved Grandpa.
They look as if they're waiting for more. She shakes her head.
That's all I want to say.
They all go to the cemetery, squeezed into Manny's car, and scatter Izzy's ashes over Eva's grave. Shirley is crying again. It's a struggle for Rachel to hold back the tears. She really doesn't want to cry in front of everybody. Or maybe she means in front of Jeremy, who's standing there somberly with dry eyes. When they leave, there's a brief discussion about keeping Eva's stone cleared, and then Jeremy suggests planting a tree in Izzy's memory. He liked the blue spruce on the corner near... Excuse me.
He liked the blue spruce on the corner near where he lived,
Rachel says. So it's settled. They'll plant a blue spruce.